Picture this. You buy a new truck, full price. You finance it, you insure it, you pay the registration. The title comes back with your name on it in black ink. You park it in your driveway. 6 months later, you go to tow your boat. You hook up the trailer, climb in, and the trailer brake controller on the dashboard, the one the salesman pointed to during the walkthrough, shows a single line of text. Feature unavailable. Upgrade your connected services plan. The controller is physically installed in the dash. The wiring is there. The brake module is there. You paid for the trim level that includes it, but somewhere between the assembly line and your driveway, a software flag was placed between you and a component you already own. You call the dealership. They tell you it is a subscription feature. $49 a month, or a lump sum for 3 years. Without it, the controller sits in your dash like a paperweight. This is not a hypothetical. Versions of this situation are happening right now across multiple brands, in trucks sitting in driveways across the country. And most buyers have no idea it is coming before they sign. Today we are going to look at exactly how this works, which brands are doing it, what the long-term implications are for ownership, and what your actual options are if you want a truck where the transaction ends the day you hand over the money. Let's start with the mechanics of this, because understanding the system makes everything else make sense. Modern trucks are no longer primarily mechanical products with some electronics added in. They are software platforms built around mechanical components. The distinction matters. A 2024 half-ton pickup can have upward of 150 million lines of software code running across dozens of electronic control modules. Those modules manage everything: fuel delivery, transmission behavior, brake force distribution, suspension response, emissions, heating and cooling, driver assistance systems, and increasingly, the connectivity layer that ties all of it to a manufacturer's cloud server. That connectivity is always on. Your truck is pinging a server constantly. It is reporting location, mileage, driving behavior, and system status back to the manufacturer in real time. In exchange, the manufacturer pushes software updates, enables or disables features, and in some cases, controls whether certain capabilities are accessible at all. This architecture is called a software-defined vehicle. It is the same model that turned your smartphone from a product you own into a service you subscribe to. And it is being applied systematically to the most expensive consumer purchase most people make outside of a house. The business logic is straightforward. A truck sold once generates revenue once. A truck sold once and then subscribed to generates revenue every month, indefinitely, from a customer who has already committed to the hardware. From an earnings perspective, it is an almost perfect model. From an ownership perspective, it fundamentally changes what buying a truck actually means. This is not speculation about where the industry is heading. It is a description of where it already is. General Motors introduced its Super Cruise hands-free highway driving system as a subscription feature. The hardware, including cameras, LiDAR sensors, and processing units, is physically installed in the vehicle. The capability works. Access to it requires an active subscription that starts at roughly $25 per month after a trial period expires. Let the subscription lapse, and the hardware sits dormant in a truck you own outright. Ford built its Pro Trailer Backup Assist, a system that steers the truck while backing up a trailer into the connected services ecosystem. On some trim levels, full functionality requires an active Ford Pass subscription. The sensors and cameras are there. The software decides whether you are allowed to use them. Toyota moved remote start functionality for many of its connected vehicles behind a subscription paywall starting in 2018. This did not apply to satellite-connected emergency services, and it did not apply to live traffic data. The ability to start your truck with the physical key fob in your hand, a device sending a radio signal 30 feet to a receiver already installed in the vehicle became a monthly fee in certain configurations. Ram has integrated its Uconnect system with subscription tiers that affect feature availability across its truck lineup. Basic connectivity is standard. Full capability is conditional. In 2023, Ford filed a patent describing a connected vehicle repossession system. The system, as described in the filing, can disable air conditioning, restrict vehicle speed, lock the occupants out remotely, and in the final step, instruct the vehicle to drive itself autonomously to a repossession facility. The stated purpose is recovering collateral from borrowers in default. That is a legitimate lender problem. But the same infrastructure that can drive your truck to a dealer lot can also lock your doors when a software subscription expires. The architecture does not distinguish between those two scenarios. It only responds to instructions from a server. Here is where the numbers start to matter in ways buyers do not typically run through before signing. Take a truck with a base MSRP of $68,000. Add destination, dealer fees, and taxes in most states, and you are at roughly $73,000 out the door. Finance it over 84 months, which is now the most common loan term on new trucks at current interest rates, and your total outlay over the life of the loan approaches $90,000. Now, layer in the subscriptions. Connected services, $25 per month. Pro-level towing features, $49 per month. Enhanced driver assist, $25 per month. Remote access package, $15 per month. That is $114 per month in software subscriptions, on top of a $900 monthly truck payment to access features physically installed in a vehicle you are simultaneously financing. Over the 84-month loan term, that adds up to $9,576 in subscription fees, on top of roughly $20,000 in interest paid to the lender. You can run this math yourself before you walk into a dealership. The finance manager will not run it for you. There is something interesting happening in the USED truck market that the mainstream automotive press has not fully connected to this conversation. Clean, high-mileage trucks from the late 1990s and the mid-2000s are selling for prices that defy standard depreciation logic. A 2005 Silverado with 180,000 miles, properly maintained, is fetching prices that would have seemed unreasonable a decade ago. Same story with late-model pre-subscription F-250s, pre-connectivity Tacomas, and clean Tundras from before the connected services era. The market is pricing in something. What it is pricing in is unconditional ownership. When you buy a 2004 truck, the transaction is complete. The day money changes hands. There is no cellular modem reporting your location. There is no subscription tier between the switch on your dashboard and the component it controls. You turn the dial, the seat heats up. You press the button, the four-wheel drive engages. No server involved, no monthly permission required. That is becoming a premium proposition, and buyers are paying for it. If you are in the market for a truck right now, here is what a forensic buyer does before signing anything. Ask these pre-purchase questions before you sit down with the finance manager. Which features on this trim level require an active subscription to function? What happens to those features if I do not renew? Do they degrade, disable, or lock completely? Can this vehicle be remotely disabled by the manufacturer or the lender? Is there a cellular modem in this vehicle? And is it possible to disable it without affecting core vehicle function? What is the total projected subscription cost over a 7-year ownership period? If I pay cash and hold no financing, does the remote disable capability still exist? Watch how long it takes them to find the answers. Salespeople are trained on features. Almost none are trained on the terms of the connected services Agreement buried in the documentation you will click through at the finance desk. If you want a truck where the answer to every one of those questions is simple, the older market is worth serious consideration. Not because old trucks are better in every dimension, they are not, but because there is real, measurable value in a vehicle where every capability is yours, unconditionally, from the first day of ownership to the last. The automakers are not hiding this. It is in the terms of service. It is in the connected vehicle agreements. It is in the patent filings that are publicly available right now on the USPTO website. What they are counting on is that buyers do not read it, do not ask about it, and do not connect the dots until they are already 2 years into a 7-year loan. If you have run into a subscription paywall on a feature in a truck you own, drop it in the comments. Include the brand, the feature, and what they charged. Individual experiences look like isolated incidents. Patterns look like what they actually are. Hit subscribe. Every week, we go through the paperwork so you do not have to find out the hard way. See you in the next one.